This video is the 2021 version of how to create the Crazy 8 in Photoshop. So you are looking for Photoshop 2021 and you're going to create a new file as long as you're logged into Photoshop through your Google identity. That new file is going to be named Crazy 8. And you're going to change your sizes here to inches. You're going to make sure your width is 8, your height is 8, and your resolution is 72. It's really important to keep that a square shape. That's a requirement for the project. Hit create. You're going to, let me make this a little bit bigger. This back in here. Okay. You're going to load your photographs that you pulled off of stock photos from the internet onto this document, and eventually you're going to have 8 different layers of those 8 photos stacked. So to pull the photos in, you're going to go up to the top to File, Place Embedded. Now your photos might be living in your Google Drive. They might be living in your downloads. What I've noticed is in your Drive, if you don't change the title of the file, they all come in, because we downloaded them from a website like Pexels, they all come in as Pexels file names, and you can't tell what they are. And if you click on the preview, let me get into my folder here, sorry. You click on the preview through the Google Drive on the Macs, it doesn't show. I'm trying to show you, my apologies. So here's my Crazy 8 folder. Oh, they are showing this time. Okay, so that's great. I mean, if the preview shows up, that's awesome, because you need to pick certain images. So I was having some of my classes rename them, to what the theme was, whatever. But you can load through your Google Drive as long as you're loaded into the Google app, or you can go to your downloads, which, because you downloaded from the internet, they would be living in your download as Pexel files. So the first file that you're going to load is your the first layer, which is living over here on the assignment. So in Canvas, of course, everything has an assignment, and we've got the layers listed right here. So you're going to do layer 1, your drawing or your painting. So you do that File, Place Embedded, and you're looking for the picture that you chose as your drawing or your painting. You hit Place. Now what's important is it's going to come in with these white boxes on the corners, which allow you from any of those boxes to increase the size of your photo. And it's very important that you increase the size of your photo so that it fills the entire artboard space. This X is implying that you're in transform mode. If you accidentally get out of transform mode and you need it to come back, you're going to hit, in our H6 lab, we have PC keyboards. So you need to hit the button that looks like a little window and control. Window and T. In a regular world, it would be Control T, or in the Mac world, it would be Command T, but it's a shortcut for T for transform, and then you can get that box back. Once you like where your picture is, you double click. Now you're not done. You need to go over to your layer palette. So now you have a layer with a little thumbnail of your painting, and you're going to double click and name it layer 1. And you're going to also notice this little icon, which symbolizes that this is this is not a rasterized image. So to rasterize it, you need to right click and choose rasterize layer. What that means is this file is now editable. It's not a linked file anymore. You can edit it within the document. Now you're going to do that through every layer, that very same method. So I'm going to show you one more, and then I'll turn off the video and do that on my own. So Place Embedded. You're going to look for the second one is your clouds or outer space, and hit Place, Stretch. Now you can stretch as big or as small as you want. It can just fit, or if you want to go real large because you like how that looks in there, go right ahead. Double click to get rid of the X, double click to name it layer 2, and right click to rasterize your layer. My apologies, I was trying to stop the video, but it looks like I don't have the settings on this MacBook to stop my video. So I'm just going to keep going. Feel free to fast forward. So File, Place Embedded. Your next file would be your electric. place, stretch, double click, layer 3. Right click, rasterize. Next layer is your people's layer, file, place, embedded. If you notice your picture comes in kind of like grainy and weird looking, don't worry about that. When you double click, it cleans up. It's just something with the processing. Next is your animal. Which animal? Next is your landscape. Layer 6. Right click, rasterize. And next is your map. Layer 7. Right click, rasterize. And last is your pattern. So now you'll notice on the right-hand side, you have 8 layers, and the only layer that you're seeing is your top layer. These are just like stacking pictures one on top of the next, right? They're there. Here's your eyeballs that will hide visibility. So you can just hide each layer to see through to the next. We want to hide each layer so we can see our layer 1. Now, very important, two things really important here. Number 1, the layer that is only going to be working, the layer that's going to respond to your directions is the only layer that is light gray. So if you are looking at this layer but accidentally have layer 4 selected and you're erasing, you're going to actually be erasing on layer 4. So make sure you activate the correct layer. Also, these are your tools over here. This top tool here is called your move tool. There's a lot of tools here that can accidentally do damage if you're not paying attention. So I would say just for the time being, kind of just always have your move tool on unless directed. First thing we're going to do is we're going to play with the see-throughness, the opacity of a couple of layers. So on layer 1, I'm going to have you go up to opacity right here and slide the slider down a little bit, somewhere between 50 and 80 maybe. It doesn't look that exciting right now because there's only a white layer underneath it. Now we're going to turn on layer 2 and click on layer 2. We're going to do a different type of blending or see-throughness or opacity, which is right here in blend modes. You'll notice when you hover over these different modes, you can see a preview of what it would look like. Find one that you like. Now remember, we're not going to be married to how these look because we're blending 8 layers together. It'll get kind of crazy. Just pick one you like kind of arbitrarily and you're good to go. Now layer 3, turn that on, activate the layer. We're going to change the colors of this layer. So we're going to go to Image Adjustments and play with either hue, saturation, or color balance, or both if you want. You'll notice a box opens up and you can slide the slider to change the colors. Now I chose electrical on purpose for this layer because you might have something like I do where you can completely change the look of these lights. Feel free to play with saturation to make it more or less intense. You can click OK. If you want to play with the other one, that was Image Adjustments Color Balance, where you can slide more towards one color or the other. So that will play with a little bit more of the overall balance if you're looking for something in particular or you're just kind of playing until you like it. Click OK. All right, for layer 4, we're going to do something different. We're going to cut into the picture. So we're going to actually destroy pixels by deleting. So activate layer 4, new tool. This is your rectangle tool. Rectangle tool works by dragging a rectangle, and you get these little dots that are called, I call them dancing ants. These dots are signifying that only what's inside this box is going to be responding to your demands. So you can move that box around, but only what's in there will do whatever you want. What we're going to do is delete what's in that box. So you literally hit delete on your keyboard and it goes away. Now, if you don't like that, in the H6 lab, you need to click the Window Z, which is like a Command Z or a Control Z, and you're going to step back, and then you can draw a different box. I don't care what you do. I don't care if it's like organized, if it's random. You can do squares, little boxes, big boxes, whatever you want. So just draw that box. Let's see, I'm going to draw them this way and delete. You can do a lot of them. You can do a few of them. Again, totally your choice. A little bit thicker. Click off to get rid of, let me make this one thicker too, to get rid of those dancing ants. All right. Layer 5, we're going to freehand erase or delete. So we're going over here to the eraser button, and you'll notice the eraser is default as a circle. So it just erases like a little eraser. Command Z to undo, or Windows Z to undo. If you right click, you can change the size of that eraser. You can also change the hardness of the eraser. So all the way 100% is a really sharp edge. Like halfway down or all the way down is really fuzzy edge. So you can erase whatever the heck you want here. Some of my students will like try to erase the background on purpose, which I get. I wouldn't spend too much time doing that. There are better ways to do that in Photoshop, but I kind of just encourage my students just to like make little scribbles or something just to kind of see through to the next layer. Great. Next layer, we're going to use what's called the Lasso Tool. So layer 6, click it, activate it. Lasso Tool to freehand draw some shapes. So if you want to, you can like try to draw around the edge of the mountain. Kind of difficult with a mouse, which is why tablets exist. If you come back to where you started, you've got those dancing ants and you can delete. The other thing you can do with this selection, if you want to, is go to that image adjustments again and change the hue saturation or the color balance, right? And mine's a white sky. It's not working too great. Let me try if I do. Maybe, no, white sky is not working, not responding too well. So maybe not for me. But I could also just step back and I could do like freeform shapes. And I could change the colors of those. Or of course you can delete whatever you want to do. Lasso tool still selected, so I can freeform. Image adjustments, color balance towards the red and the pink maybe. I don't know. So whatever your little heart desires here, you can do. Okay, so that was layer 6. Now to get rid of those dancing ants, remember you can double click out here. You can also, if you have dancing ants and you can't get rid of them, you can right click and choose deselect. For layer 7 here, we are going to change this piece using brushes. So brushes are over here in this little brush guy, and a brush will naturally paint, and that's what it does. So you've got a brush setting. Remember, you can right click, change the size, change the hardness, but you also have a color coming out based on what's happening up here. So you can change this to any color you want and draw. Now you can also right click and see that there's some different brushes down here. So there's like special effect brushes where you can kind of scatter and things like that. Drag over large areas like that. Now remember, I'm just experimenting. So Control Z, you can go back several times. Hold down hold down Command or hold down Window and hit Z, 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 and go back to where you started. So if you wanted to be more careful about that, you can. Or if you don't like the color, you want to change it to white scatter that way. Now each brush is a little different. Like this one's a wet brush, so it's blending. So it's kind of surprising sometimes what it does. But you can do anything you want to that layer. So that's just with brushes. The brush is here. Right click for sizes, hardness, and different option brushes. Color is up here. The last layer, activate layer 8, we're going to go up here to filters. So filters, you guys know very well from different programs that you've used on your phone or whatever. There's just a lot to play with in here. Some of the filters will give you like a preview box, and you can play with what that looks like. And certain photos look better or worse, right? So I'm going to cancel and do a different one. Filter, you can like crystallize, you can change colors, or just make it like completely different if you want to. So it looks like that. You can add another filter on top of it if you want. It's just doing whatever you want with these filters, and there's lots in here. So that is part one, how to build the first part of your Crazy 8 and how to change each of those layers.